Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to the second portion of the leveling guide for the Eye of Winter Inquisitor Minor. So, after deleting the character last time accidentally, I remade an Act 5 run today. So we're going to be going from that. Essentially, I just killed Kataba. We're in the exact same spot as we were in the previous run. If you haven't seen that, you can check it out. Now we're basically going to be going from Act 6 all the way until reaching maps. So the first thing that's going to be very important upon killing Act 5 Kitaba is that you're going to get a negative resistance penalty of 30 resistance. So basically, if you're very close to being res capped, or if you're even just on the board on the cusp of res capping 70 odd resistance, after killing Kitaba, you're going to go down to 35, 40. So it's going to be very important that you basically fix those resistances. Now, that's going to require these things called Orb of Transmutations. So that's going to be very important that you basically pick those up during the storyline. If you run out of these Orb of Transmutations, an easy way to get these is essentially to simply sell items unidentified. Blue and magic and rare items will give you transmutation shards upon selling those. So as you can see right now, we are sitting at 46, 47, and 34 resistances. So we're going to head over to our hideout, and then we are going to craft some resistance. Now, the easy thing is that your weapons, since we are doing Act 2 crafts, are always going to have open sockets. So we're going to be able to take advantage of that. So we're going to craft some fire resistance on both of those, as fire resistance was by far our worst one. And then you can see we're at 73 and then 46, 47. So we've only got two, so we're going to craft one of each of the remaining ones. So we're going to go ahead and craft some cold resistance on this ring. And then we can craft some lightning resistance on this ring, hopefully. No, we do not have an open suffix. No open suffix. We can craft it on the belt that we have around here instead. So we're going to be a little bit low on the resistance side of things. We're not quite going to be capped. However, that's not that big of a deal, as we are going to be getting some additional resistances pretty soon. Now, as you know, we get more transmutes, essentially, right? So now that we've basically taken care of our resistance issue, we are going to be able to keep going with the game. So we're going to head back to Cathedral Rooftop, make our way to Act 6, and that's kind of where we're going to keep going. Alright, so it's a red class back into Lionized Watch, which is the same place we were in Act 1. Now, we could do the Lily's Quest. However, we've already done Library in Act 3, so we already have access to buying all the gems. However, we do need to do Lily to unlock her in our hideout in order to be able to buy gems directly from our hideout. So we could do it now, we can do it later, it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now that that's done, we are basically just going to be on our way. And as we were doing in the previous run, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to drop Frost Bomb, which right now is on Elemental Focus and Onslaught. Same thing as before. This is going to give us Onslaught for move speed, and then we're basically just going to simply Leap Slam. Make sure that everything is on attack without moving. Otherwise, the game feels quite rough, and that's going to be good to go. Now, again, the thing is, our resistances are not quite capped, which is a massive deal in Act 6. The difference between having capped resistances in Act 6 and not having capped resistance is huge. And you'll probably see that if you try to basically not cap your resistances at all. Now, we're not quite capped, so we're missing a little bit. Oh, there you go. We've actually just got the exact amount of currency that we need to basically cap out our resistance. So we're going to head back to our hideout very quickly, use up those transmutes. That was a lucky drop, and then we'll be good to go. So these have 3 suffixes, which means we can't craft anything. Neither can we craft anything on this, or on that, or on this, or on that either, actually. Or that. Okay, we can craft resistance on this, so we're going to prioritize going with some cold resistance here, as it's going to be a little bit more important. However, now it looks like we are just shy on the lightning side of things, so that's a bit unfortunate, but I really don't have anything else I can do. I need the strength from this ring for the time being, so I couldn't just simply buy another ring to replace this. So we're in a situation where we're basically just going to be slightly undercapped on the lightning resistance. This is going to be a problem a little bit later on. So what we'll do, because we're not quite well off, is that we can go to the Tidal Island. And there's a quest here which is actually going to give us a rare piece of jewelry. So we can have a look at which one of our pieces of jewelry is the worst and replace it from this quest. Now, it actually doesn't require you to kill the boss, unlike the Act 1 quest. You can basically just run through, pick up the quest item, and that's that, right? And now we are level 41, which means in terms of XP, we are pretty much good to go. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up, and then we're just going to get out of here and see if we can get a little bit of an upgrade. All right, so upon turning this in, it's going to give you a rare piece of jewelry. So right now, we really need strength on our build, and we also need dexterity. So we're going to grab this strength and dexterity citrine amulet. We could also have went with a belt, and there we go. Let's see. So in our case, we were able to get all the stats that we need with this new amulet, and not only that, we are also going to be able to craft a suffix on there. So that's very good for us. We're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to be completely rest capped basically for the rest of the run. Again, it's a massive priority. If you're not rest capped versus rest capped, it's a big difference, and you will be able to tell. So now that we've actually taken care of our resistances, we're basically good to go. So we can just start actually going with our the run. So we're pretty low on physical resistances right now. This is definitely going to be a problem, but we are going to be fixing that problem soon enough, as we are going to be getting some defensive aura, which is determination, on this build very soon, actually. You'll see basically it's just a matter of nodes on the tree that needs to give us some RMR. But we're also going to be getting a jade flask shortly. Now we have a granite, but a granite is not quite enough to really cover all our defenses needs at this point in the game. Okay, so our single target, as you can see though, is still absolutely blasting. We have no issues in that regards, which is very good, because of course single target is a big deal. All right, so this upcoming boss is actually a little bit annoying because of the AI on Eye of Winter kind of just doing its own thing, not always listening to what you want it to do, and just kind of going out of its way to make your life miserable. But it should still be okay, as you can see, because our damage is quite good. All right, so now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and kill this boss. So we're basically going to be doing the same thing as before, drop in our curse, which we actually have in this run, which we didn't have before, which was kind of unfortunate. We also didn't have our Arcane Surge in our last run. We just got very unlucky with our links. As you can see, the damage is definitely quite good once you have all of those. Defense-wise, we are res capped, so that should not be a problem. As basically, Act 6 is just pretty much checking to see if your resistances are capped. This guy does a ton of fire damage, and then the upcoming boss also does a lot of fire damage, and then the boss, which is at the tower, right, does a lot of lightning damage. The Brutus combination does a ton of actual lightning damage, but as long as you're res capped, as you can see, it's actually relatively smooth. And then it's going to be even better once we throw in that determination for physical damage, which is definitely something which we are, I wouldn't say like likely to die to, but out of everything that could kill us right now, physical damage would be the most dangerous. But there's nothing we can really do. The only way to increase our physical resistance is either through auras, such as Grace or Determination, which we are going to be doing with Determination, as I said, shortly. And then the other only real option is, of course, to just get armor on your gear. But as you're leveling up, all you can really prioritize is sockets, right? Your socket-starved socket groups are way more important than anything else. So you can't really be picky with, are you putting an item that has like 50 armor on it? Or are you putting an item that has 300 armor on it? Same thing with energy shield, evasion, etc. So because we can't afford to be picky, we basically just deal with what we get. Okay. So, for those who don't know, I actually have this thing called the Casual Exile document, which is a document which has pretty much I guess you could say like a starting guide for Path of Exile in general, just as much as in terms of currency as in terms of playstyle, in terms of leveling, in terms of getting faster. So you could check out, there is a leveling portion to that Casual Exile document. I'll have it linked in the description down below. There's also a calculator for basically all the mechanics in the game in terms of how much currency you can expect to make out of them. It's something that it's a resource that's available to you for free that you should absolutely take advantage of in the upcoming league start. As a lot of people tend to ask me, hey Matt, it's the first 3 days of the league, what can I do to make money? I need to buy this, I need to buy that. Which league mechanics should I take advantage of? Well, there you have it. That's going to be answering a lot of those questions. Okay, so there is a trial in this zone, which means we're going to have to find it. If we don't find it, we can just drop a portal and come back later. However, it doesn't look like we have a portal either. So we are just going to go back and actually find it. We could just skip it because this is a practice run, but of course, in your league start scenario, you're going to have to find it and do it. So we're just going to do the same thing here. All right. Now, I made sure that there was no music on this Act 6, this part 2 of the guide, because a lot of people told me that they were having issues with the other one because of copyrighted music and stuff. Okay, so it looks like I'm just stuck right now. Okay, there we go. I might actually die here because of that. That was very unfortunate for me to just be stuck like that. But it happens, you know, a little bug here and there. All right, we actually survived, so that's good. All right, so everything is done. We can get out of here and move our way, make our way to the boss. We are level 42. This is a level 47 zone, so we could actually afford to kill a little bit more. But you do need to consider that in the second part of the game, you're not going to be getting as many levels as the first part of the game. The first part of the game, you get around 40 levels. The second part of the game, you get around 25 levels. But there's just as many zones. So what that means essentially is that in terms of XP, you're not going to be leveling up nearly as fast as the first part. So your actual requirements in terms of monsters to kill and XP per zone is not as important as long as you're staying within about 4 to 5 levels of the zone. Now, if you were in hardcore, obviously that would probably be somewhere around 4 to 5, or sorry, 2 to 3, or even 1 to 2 levels under the zone, or even potentially, depending on how safe of a player you are, you might want to be over leveled. But in softcore, 5 levels, you're not really getting any XP penalty. Now, for those who don't know, XP penalty basically is 16 levels at a base level. One level is 16, and then 1 extra level every 6 levels, I believe. So essentially, at level 60, up until level 16, we're good. And then after that, every 6 level, it can be 1 level on top. So because we're level 40, we're not really getting any substantial penalty right now. Even despite the fact that we're, you know, a few levels under. So I don't know if I explained that right. I think I might have messed up my explanation. But essentially, what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to keep yourself as close to the level of the zone as you do have to in the earlier portion of the game. Hopefully that makes more sense.
I must have time to gather my will.
Okay, so we are 42, almost 43. We're going to go ahead and put in our skill point. We're making our way to Heart of Ice. Heart of Ice is an insane node for damage early because we don't we benefit from the penetration. We don't benefit from the penetration later on in the game, which is why we're an Inquisitor. However, early on, it is a big deal to have it. So as you can see, our damage is really high. This is mostly due to just having our Curse, having our Arcane Surge, having a 4-link. But then, of course, the rest is just Eye of Winter being, you know, Eye of Winter. And doing some heavy carrying. So in terms of placement, you want to place your mines somewhere around a few inches on your screen away from the target in order to benefit from the actual projectile getting more damage as it goes up in distance. So we don't want to be actually putting our mines directly on top of our target. We want to be putting them slightly away, but not too far away that it doesn't target them either. As you can see, very, very chill. And that's that.
Final crusade sees...
Okay, now that's done. We can go ahead and log out. We actually don't have to walk all the way back. We can simply log out, and Prisoner's Gate waypoint is going to be there. Now, this is basically the exact same thing as in Prisoner's Gate in the first act of the game. However, the difference is the road is unblocked, and instead of the secondary path leading to Merveil's Cavern, it actually leads to the skill point quests. Now, these skill point quests are very... Oh my god. These skill point quests are very deadly. They're pretty hard to do. So what you can do is actually skip them and come back a little bit later on. Because they're not too far off the main path, which means you don't have to go too far away. And, you know, it's not multiple zones worth of XP, so you could easily just skip them, come back later, and finish them up. But I'm just going to go ahead and do them to showcase kind of what I would do on my league start. Because I would just do them as I can. But you'll see that it's not necessarily the easiest fights in the game. these dudes, especially this guy, is very, very scary. Even when you're res capped, even don't matter. This guy's just very scary. I believe a lot of people, even in hardcore, just kind of skip him. They come back later when they're a little bit more higher level. It's kind of like Valencia in the Act 10 campaign, which you'll see later on in this video. It's just they're just very scary bosses to encounter. Okay. Alright, he should be just about dead. We're dying anyways. Unfortunately, the AI is targeting the minions sometimes, but here we go. So we could just go ahead and log back out and head over back to the actual Prisoner's Gate, and then we could just follow the road this time around, and that'll lead us to the end of this zone. Now, for the next 3 zones, we're essentially just walking down the road. There's no reason to do anything else. You just straight up run down the road and we'll be fine. So you'll see this zone doesn't have anything in it, Western Forest, at all. The only thing is actually a... Well, I guess there is one thing, which is the...
have turned out differently for all of us.
Yeah, so there's I believe a recipe that is pretty useful. Maybe it's like sockets or colors or something like that. Somewhere in this zone, I always end up having to come back for it every league. But otherwise, you know, just grab the waypoint and just follow along the road, and that'll lead you to the end. Now, this zone, the Riverways, also doesn't really have anything, but it does lead us to another skill point quest right upon getting to the waypoint. So essentially, the moment you reach the waypoint, you'll know that you basically take this little road, this little paved road, and this is where normally Oak was in the second act of the game. This time around, or yeah, the second act. However, this time around, it is going to lead you to the secondary quest, which gives you a skill point. Now, I don't have quest trackers on right now, which is why you might be wondering why it doesn't show anything on the right-hand side of my screen. You can disable quest trackers now. I highly recommend you don't do that. I just did that because I had to take a screenshot. But even no matter how many times you've done the game, if you've played through, it's a good idea to keep those quest trackers on. So anytime you might miss something. All right. So 1 done. Flame that or Frostbomb to get some Arcane Surge action. Another 1 done. Then we're basically just going to put all our mines down. Debuff the guy. And then he is going to move out. You need to have a lot of damage to actually skip that phase, I believe. It's skippable, though. Oh, okay. So apparently I was sitting inside of a degen. That's unfortunate. It's going to happen, though. Misplay for me. All right. Okay. Alright, that's done. We get a 4-link. I don't know if we're going to be able to use it, but a 4-link nonetheless. Now we have like 3 quests that give us skill points, I believe, sitting here for us. So we get 1 skill point here, another skill point there, a 4-link, as well as another skill point. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be getting at this point. So we're going to go ahead and ID this stuff. Maybe there's some upgrades in there. So there's a 42 mana, a little bit of ES. We're not really going to be able to do anything with this. This is 79 life, but the odds of actually getting the right colors for us is basically non-existent. So we're going to skip out on that. No move speed on the boots. 100 life on the chest is pretty insane. However, again, we have sockets in our body armor, so we're not really going to be able to do anything about that. All right, so now we're going to get Heart of Ice, and then we're going to go towards efficient explosives. The moment we get efficient explosives, you're going to get enough armor on this build in order to be able to run determination, and that is going to be a pretty big deal in terms of survivability. It's like the second biggest layer other than just having defenses capped out for the second portion of the axe. So we're basically going back to Riverways. We're going to make our way through the road. Again, we could just follow the road all the way until the very end, and that's going to be the end of the layout. Now, once you get to those little bosses dudes, you can kill them if you want, but you got to head downwards, and that's going to bring you to the end of the layout. So I'm 4 levels under the zone right now, 5 levels as I enter this zone, which is still very much fine. So we're going to go ahead and throw a few mines, grab ourselves some charges so that we can leap slime faster, as we were doing earlier in the game, and then we're just going to go ahead and be on our way. Alright, level our gems. Now, this zone, there's a lot of places that you can go, but all you have to do essentially is the first bridge that goes up after going down, you got to go up this bridge. Let's go kill this blue pack, it's pretty massive. And then you can basically follow this all the way down, and that'll lead you to the end. I believe this is the only way to actually get you to the end without getting jebaited by anything else. But I could be wrong. Alright, so there's like a mini boss thing there. We're not going to worry about that. Alright, there we go. Effort of Anger. Make sure to pick up the quest item here. Otherwise, you'll have to come back for it. Now, this zone can definitely be a little jebaity sometimes. Quite jebaity, actually. So, we're going to try to make our way through. And we'll see if we can figure it out or not. There might be a tell, as in, like, if you find this boss that I just found, it's not in that direction or something, but I really don't know. I wish I could give you guys some tips on raiding this zone, but I actually have no idea. I typically just kind of make my way through it, and sometimes I get jebaited 4 times in a row, sometimes I actually get it the first time. So it looks like this time around it was indeed a lower portion, so it's probably going to go all the way around. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't actually connect to the top side here, as I believe this is the same layout that I had in a previous run, and I actually went through basically the entire thing before figuring out where it was. But here we go.
I shall take
Go ahead and
this
grab some
crusade to the
charges,
thieves
frenzy
themselves.
charges I should say, so that we can leave slime faster and be on our way. So the reason why we care so much about these frenzy charges I keep talking about is because every frenzy charge is like 4% increased attack speed. And attack speed is basically just really, really good for leap slime, because the leap slime, unlike shield charge, scales with your actual attack speed. Shield charge scales with your move speed, so it's nowhere near as important, but leap slime is different. It scales almost entirely off of simply attack speed. I believe it scales entirely off of the attack speed, actually, not even just almost. Okay. This zone is definitely very scary with arch nemesis monsters. It spawns a lot of magic and rare monsters close to you. And if you ever get out of the zone, it basically is going to go backwards, right? So it can be a little bit annoying to deal with this zone. But this build, because it has really, really good clear, is going to be able to do it quite easily. As long as we don't completely mess up or try to face tank something, which we shouldn't be tanking. As you can see, so far, it's quite a breeze. No problem there. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead and just back up a bit so that we don't get stunned or frozen or anything like that. That could lead to our death. Arcane Buffer is super, super deadly as well. For example, Arcane Buffer is basically going to buff up for a few seconds and that'll stun you. And if you get caught, then of course you could just die. So you want to be careful with that. Now at this point, I'm left click detonating, so I've E for my mines. You could also use like your left click if you wanted to make it kind of like a 1-button build. And then I'm just, every time I press forward to walk, it's just detonating. So I don't have to worry about holding down D or anything like that. Makes it a very smooth experience. You could also, later on in the game, do this thing called a numlock trick, where you can hold down a button on your numpad. Say, for example, numlock, number 1, the first number of your numpad, and then you can hold that down while you change your actual detonate key to that button. So let's say you change your detonate key to, I don't know, numpad 3, which you can do in your actual settings. And then you can hold down that numpad 3, and then after, while you're holding that down and throwing mines, you can hit numlock, which is basically going to change it to the alternate thing that you can get from your numpad keys, and that will make it so it'll just keep detonating forever. Now, it's not something I recommend doing for a single target, but just in case, for mapping, for example, you should have plenty of damage on this build that you will be perfectly fine with doing that. And of course, it'll save you hassle. Now, you do need to reset the numpad trick every single zone, but when you're mapping, that means like once every, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, especially early on in the game, even longer than that if you're putting some league mechanics on your map. It's really not that bad compared to constantly holding down the detonate key. So something to remember that can make the miner playstyle a little bit less annoying. Now, I personally don't mind holding down the D key because I've done it like for so long. I've played a lot of miner characters at this point. But yeah. All right, so we're 5 levels into the zone. We're about to level, which means we're just roughly 4 levels under the zone. So we're still perfect within our XP. Now, if I had some portal scrolls, I could actually cheese this boss fight by simply portaling out every phase that she goes invulnerable, but I'm not going to do that as I don't have any portal scrolls. So, fortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. But it's definitely something to consider, especially if you are in hardcore. I believe every single hardcore streamer does it pretty much. Because this little phase here can be quite deadly. Now, if you're resistance capped, it's nowhere near as bad, but if you're not, it can definitely be, take you out. So, not having to deal with it, period, is a good way to cheese it. Or, I guess I should say the opposite. Cheesing is a good way of not having to deal with it. Now, the AI, unfortunately, is not targeting the actual boss. Here we are, second phase. So this act took a little bit longer than usual because of course we had to do some setting up for the future, capping out our resistances, doing some changes, buying gear, etc. So that takes a little bit longer, but after that, since we are going to be res capped and good to go for a while, we're going to start speeding up a bit. All right, one more to go, I believe. And that should be it. All right, there's a 4-link there, so we could definitely potentially make use of that. We can log out here. It's simply faster than waiting it out. Unless you have to do some inventory management, putting in skill points, whatever. But it's a little bit quicker to simply log out. Now we're going to go ahead and vendor some items, see what we get. Maybe we get some upgrades. Now this is a pretty good helmet. Unfortunately, we've already got the helm links there. So we're probably not going to be swapping this out. Now earlier, that 100 life chest piece I would have kept in a league start scenario because I would have been able to use it. But because I'm not going to be able to use it for this run, it wasn't that big of a deal. Okay, so now that I've officially got efficient explosives, I'm going to go back to Act 3 in the library and buy determination. I'm going to be dropping Herald of Ice for that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab determination. I'm going to drop Herald of Ice. And I'm also going to drop Clarity for it. So I have Skitterbots and Determination at this point. Now I'm going to change the Clarity that I do have because it's probably just over-leveled. Yeah, it's level 9. It's way too high. So I'm going to go back to a level 1 Clarity, and then we're going to make our way back to level 5 on our Clarity, and we're going to keep it at level 5. Otherwise, we're going to have mana issues. Okay, now that that's done, we should start feeling a lot better. And we can also throw in this this Jade Flask here, and basically we have double defensive flask with the Jade and the Granite. And yeah, at this point, things are gonna go pretty well. Now, there's definitely still some cases where we might die. There's definitely a lot of mistakes that can be made, but it's a pretty good place to be in. So my mana is actually a little bit on the low side of things. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling I'm missing something. I'm gonna have a look at my masteries and my nodes, but I should be fine. Because there's no worse feeling than running out of mana this early into the game. It's a pretty horrible feeling. Could be because I'm not Eldritch Battery, but I don't think I was Eldritch Battery when I was leveling up the first time I did this. Alright, no, my Herald is indeed turned off. So I guess we're good. Could be just me imagining things for sure. Alright. So we're gonna grab couple more levels on clarity. I don't think there's a mastery for mono reservation, right? No, there isn't. So no, we're good. This is exactly what the tree should look like. I think I'm just imagining things for sure. So at this point, we are level 46 in a 51 zone, but we're about to be 47. So we could totally kill some more stuff a little bit here. Anyways, our clear is quite good. You just have to throw down a few mines. It's not quite Armageddon cremation levels of clear speed or of damage or anything like that, but it's still very, very good. To the point where I have... I'm not sure if it's going to be down here. Yeah, it should be. Nothing to really complain about in terms of clear with this build. And that's pretty much going to stay the case. We're just rocking a single pierce. And we're going to be rocking a single pierce pretty much up until like mid-level 70s or so. That's kind of when maps are going to start being a little bit more juicier. Like yellow maps, the modifiers are a little bit juicier, the pack size, etc. So that's kind of when we're going to start thinking about changing that up a bit. And
you there, local.
And going with more pierces on the tree, but I've already accounted for that. You're going to get like 3 pierces without the jewel by the time you're somewhere in mid-level 70s. Okay, so we've got to go find the trial, and after that we could basically simply... That's a 4-link. We might want to check that out. There might be an upgrade waiting for us there. So we're going to go back and check it out. So these monsters are super, super dangerous. These wraiths are incredibly, incredibly dangerous. One of the most deadly monsters in the entire game, I would say, especially while leveling.
I must have time to gather my will.
So I'd be very careful with those. Okay, so we've got a 4-link there. We could actually potentially make use of that, but we already have a 4-link in our helmet, so. Yeah, another 4-link body armor. Yeah, we're not really going to need that. Our body armor is quite decent. It's got some resistances on it. Okay. Okay, that's arcane buffer. Get me out of there. I'm definitely going to die if I stay there. Alright. So I'm going to stop leveling clarity around level 4 or 5, something like that. Another arcane buffer pack. Now this time around though, I'm able to stay far enough away from them so that I can kill them without any issue.
My mana is spent.
Grab this. Alright, these wraiths are really, really scary. So we just have to go basically down in a straight line when it comes to this layout. It's always going to be pretty much the same space. So yeah, as you can see, these wraiths are not doing too much damage to us right now. And basically that's just because Determination is doing some heavy lifting in terms of damage reduction. So now that we have the quest item, we can basically log out. Now I dropped the Jade Flask, which means I didn't need to do the actual quest for it. And we're going to head back to the crossroads and basically go up. Okay, let's go and kill these guys. Ooh, that was pretty deadly, pretty scary a little bit. Making sure that we're up in XP. Now, after grabbing this node, we're actually going to go back and grab Breath of Rime through the Cold and Freeze chance. This is so we have even more damage early on in the game. As after this, we're basically going to be getting absolutely no damage nodes pretty much at all for a very long time. So that's why we want to make sure that we grab that pretty early on. This is great for for damage. All right. So this run earlier on stream, the Act 1 to 5 took basically 1 hour and 59 minutes or so. So it was exactly pretty much the same as the other run that I did the other day. That's kind of been the time where I've been hovering at lately, around 2 hours to Act 5. It's a little bit on the slow side. I used to be at least 10 to 15 minutes faster than that, but that was also prior to the flask nerf and the movement ability nerf, as well as the fact that I was playing an archetype that I was very, very comfortable with, which is Shadow. But I'm sure that, you know, for the most part, 2 hours Act 5, 4 hours Act 4, or sorry, 4 hours to maps is honestly good enough to where we don't have to worry about it too much anymore. Okay, so I'm not sure what hit me there, but it definitely did hurt a lot. I think it was just multiple monsters at the same time just beating up on me. Stayed alive somehow, so that's good. Okay. You can see the importance of being res capped at this point in the game. It's pretty incredible how much of a difference it makes. And I'm talking the difference between 70 and 75 resistance being huge. Alright. So that's that. We're going to go ahead and basically kill this dude. Should be pretty easy. I mean, we basically one-shot him. All of them, matter of fact, as you can see. That's another one done. Make sure that we Frostblink, get some Arcane Surge proc. It helps us not only with damage, but also with mana regen. So it's very, very solid.
My mana is spent.
Alright, so we're out of flask charges on mana, which is kind of a problem. I wish I had a portal scroll. I'd probably just portal out of this situation, but we'll try to make do with what we got. Okay, so it's almost done. Yeah, this mana flask is not very good. There we go. Grab the black venom before you log out. It's a mistake that I've definitely made before. And we're going to head back to the Chamber of Sins, talk to this dude. And then, of course, as in Act 2, the exit is going to be on the same side, which is pointing by the layout. Or, sorry, by the waypoint. So, down here. Okay. Now there is a Trial of Ascendancy somewhere in this place as well, which we're going to make sure to do.
Just in time.
Since we will be getting lab very shortly, actually. And the second lab on this Ascendancy is very strong. The first lab is not that good. It's definitely not bad, but it's not amazing. The second lab is where it really starts to shine, as it allows us to run permanent Wretch's Fire, as long as we are fire resistance capped. There's no other requirements. That, and of course running Arrogance on Vitality, which is going to reserve a very small portion of her life, which you can also omit. You don't have to do it, but I mean, it's a lot of damage
Just in time.
that you are going to be getting from doing that.
Just in time.
And because early on, you know, the actual leveling is not that big of a deal for this Ascendancy in terms of defenses, as we get access to Determination early and stuff like that. It's definitely something that can be considered. I've personally been doing it as long as I'm fire resistance capped, but you guys are going to see that. It's another question as well as, do you have the links for it? Because of course it's not free in terms of links either. You do need a red and a red linked together in order to run Vitality on Arrogance, which right now I actually don't have a single red on the build. Now, if I get some chromatics, I can potentially use it on a scepter, as I will not need that green socket that's on my scepter right now. I also don't need this red. No, I do need that red socket for Determination, so I probably don't want to be swapping that out. All right, so these are really tanky monsters. The bears and the golems are both quite tanky. But we're level 48 and a 53, so it's not a horrible idea. Let's go ahead and grab that, whatever it was.
The fires of greed burn eternal in the hearts of the unborn.
Because we are level 48 in a 53 zone, which is not under leveled or anything like that, but it's not, you know, crazy high. We're going to go ahead and just kill a lot, because this zone, the Ashen Field, is really good for XP. There's a ton of monsters to kill in here. Blue packs, magic rares, lots of white monsters. It's a field day for XP. And we just so happen to get an actual shrine for speed, which is pretty insane on a minor character. It gives you just insane mind throwing speed. Kind of lets you see how much mind throwing speed you get at the end of the game, because you do get a lot of mind throwing speed by the end of the game. In your late game, you're throwing around 6 mines per second, which is a lot of mines. Okay, so that's gone now. It was fun while it lasted. We're looking pretty good on XP now. Almost 49, not quite, but good enough. Now this boss is pretty annoying. Definitely a very, very strong boss. He's just kind of annoying because of the totem that basically drops some stuff on top of your head just like that.
My mana is spent.
Okay, my mana is spent. That's not great. Alright, so we're going to hit him with some debuffs. We're probably going to die here. I'm bleeding. Very unfortunate. Oh, that actually hit me. Oh, no. Well, I thought I might live, but after making that mistake, I guess that's not going to happen, is it? It was close. It was a close fight. If I didn't get hit by that, I would actually have a nice little reset, and we'd have been fine. Oh, not again. Come on, stop. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this boss. Real annoying one. Okay, so now we're actually going to look for the
I must have time to
we're gonna look for the zone, which is gonna lead us to the skill point quest, as well as the story quest, which is right here. And we are going to drop a portal. We're actually not gonna finish it. It's a little bit more efficient to drop a portal and then basically finish the entire zone, go all the way up to the waypoint in the next zone, and then TP back. Slightly more efficient. Or not the next zone, the zone after that, Val City. But as you can see, the leveling is actually quite smooth. There really isn't that much things that are super dangerous to us. Now, this zone is one that I could easily die in, which is funny because I just said that there's not too many things that are dangerous. This zone is a very deadly zone. These constructs, the apparatus dudes, they actually do physical and chaos damage. And if there's one thing that our build doesn't have at this point in the game, it's chaos resistance. So if you get in a bad volley, you could easily just die very quickly. So I'm gonna try to be careful about that. All right, good stuff. Now at this point, I believe Frostbomb should still be one-shotting pretty much everything in terms of white monsters. Of course, not magics and rares, considering it's not. It's only on a 3-link. Okay, now this zone is a zone that a lot of people have a lot of problem with, the Val City zone. There's a video made by Carveruscu. I'll link it in the description of this video. It's a very, very good video that tells you exactly how to read this zone. However, it's been a while since I've watched it, so I very, very well may get lost because, as I said, it's been quite some time since I've watched the video myself. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it very well may. Okay, good. I remembered. Alright, so as I said, we're going to go back here into our waypoint. Now, I probably should have vendored because I've got a lot of stuff in my inventory right now. A lot of stuff I could vendor. And we're going to go to the Dread Ticket, get the Fireflies. Now, this is where having that quest tracker could help us quite a bit because there's 7 Fireflies, and normally it'll just tell you when you have all of them, but because I don't have the quest tracker, it won't be telling me. So I'll kind of just have to guess that, oh, well, I got them all. I could also count, but, you know, math is weird, so I don't want to do that. That would require mental power, mental abilities to count to 7. So we're not gonna do that. We'll just play the guessing game instead. And if we go back to town and we don't have them all, then we are just going to be sad and, you know, come back, do it again. Another one. You also get a bit of a showcase of the single target damage on this build shortly, when you can actually get all of your damage down, which is super huge. Debuffs on this build are massive. I mean, that's crazy. They're like all in the same place. It did not go the way I wanted to go, so that was kind of scary. Alright, deliver the fire supplies to Yina, so I suppose that means that we have them all. Alright, so we're going to put down everything here. Drop our curse. And I should basically take 2 volleys of that, and the boss should be dead. As long as we don't die first. And there we have it. So very, very chill on that. We got the fireflies. We got everything done. We can just log out. We're going to talk to Yina. We are going to sell all of this stuff because we have a lot of stuff to sell. So 15% move speed. I don't need green, green, red like ever. So I'm not going to keep that. This is pretty good, but we don't need these colors. Yeah, nothing. None of this seems particularly amazing for us. So we're just going to keep going. Now, I believe we have a quest to turn into Whalem, or maybe it's Sin. It's one of these two. There we go. That grants us a passive. Now we can talk to Aramir for another one and another one. I believe Helena gets up a 4-link. Yep. As well as that necklace, but you don't got to get that. Okay, so these are quite nice boots. 20% move speed as well as some fire resistance and some life and open suffix for crafting. These are definitely boots that are going to be useful to us. So it'd be nice if we could get like a green on him. There we go. So that'll allow us to rock our 4-link in there, or even to 4-link Frostbomb, which is something else that we can do. So that's good. We won't be able to use them for a bit though. Alright, so we've got 3 skill points now. What we're going to do once we've gone and done all of this, right, all of that, we basically are going to start the Great Migration to this side of the tree. So initially we're mostly just going to focus on getting life, however. That's pretty much all we're going to get, actually. It's just life, life, and life. So that we can get, you know, around 2,000 life or so around the time that we get to Act 10 Kitaba. And this is, of course, with the pretty much non-existent gearing that we do, right, through the campaign. We're not ever looking for really anything. Most of my items are actually white at this point. But that's okay, because, I mean, most campaigns, most League starters, that's kind of how I do it. I don't really focus too much on picking up a bunch of items. I just focus on getting the right links, and then after that, I'm good to go. Now, if I was a very skilled player like Tai Killer, who's able to gear up and like look at items while also leveling, it would be a different story, and I'm sure I would get faster. But that's not me. I'm lazy, and I basically just go, oh, I got my links. Okay, well, that's fine. If I have 0 HP or whatever, I'll just deal with it along the way. And just, you know, die a few times for each of the bosses. That's okay. But as you can see, we haven't died. I think we've died 1 time or something so far. Once or twice against that Gruz guy because he's really just annoying. But otherwise, it's been pretty safe so far. And that is mostly due to the fact that, well, Determination paired with a cold skill, paired with some regen. There's a lot of things that we got going for us, which makes it relatively tanky. So that means that we don't really have to worry about gear much at all. Please let me through. Thank you. Okay.
Deeper into the layer of lust.
I probably don't want to be messing with Abyss at this point in the game, like at all. Abyss is a super scary mechanic. There's some really, really sketchy monster types that come out of it. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that. So normally on League Start, I would have a Chaos Recipe filter set up for the moment I hit Blood Aqueducts, but I don't have that right now. So we're kind of just going to keep going with the filter. Now the thing is, I believe I have like everything hidden on the current filter post level 60, which is something I said I was going to do. because this is not a filter that you should use past, basically, blood aqueducts. But I guess we're just going to not listen to her own advice. And we're just going to do it either anyways. Which could lead to some slight issues, but again, because I prioritize links and now I'm good to go for the entirety of the campaign, I'm just gonna not worry about it too much. Okay, constructs being constructs. Let's get ourselves done with this act. Grab some more life, and then after this life, we're basically going to go all the way down here and grab even more life. And that's pretty much going to be what we're going to be doing for the next few levels. All right, where is she? Make sure that you Frostblink, get your Arcane Surge, make sure you Curse, make sure you use your Frost Bomb for additional single target.
Time to gather my will.
And your damage will be very, very good. Now, sometimes I feel like she does this, and sometimes it looks like she doesn't do it. The entirety of the phase. Maybe it has to do with how much damage you do. I'm not sure how that works. Now I'm out of mana, as you saw. I just swapped my mana flask, which is kind of annoying. I have a portal scroll, so I guess we're gonna portal out real quick. Oh, she's no longer there. I guess dying would have been faster. That's okay. All right. Okay, so now that's done. Okay, these are real deadly apparently. Real scary pack. So looking at our XP real quick, we're level 50 in a 55 zone. That's fine. We're about to get level 51. Then after that, we're essentially going to get to Doedre around level 51, closer to 52. And then after that is going to come second lab, which is level 55. So we're basically perfectly fine in terms of XP, as the lab is going to be a way to get some decent XP as well. Okay, I'm stuck. But as you can see here, I'm just going to go ahead and use a Frost Bomb. You'll see that Frost Bomb is doing enough damage to kill all the white monsters. So even now, at this point in the campaign, I could still, sorry, just use my Frost Bomb and pretty much never use my mines if I didn't care about XP. But of course, we want to get some XP either way.
What corruption is this?
All right, so that puts us in Act 8, which means we're almost halfway done.
It seems it is my penance to endure all the filths of this world.
Jeez, so serious, Mr. Templar.
My mana is spent.
Alright, my mana spent is never something you want to be hearing. But it's the life of mines, as they do reserve your mana. Alright, so we're going to try to speed up now. Focus less on killing, more on going quicker. I don't think this is it. Alright, well, I was wrong, I guess. I was wrong. It definitely looked like it was a dead end, but hey.
I must have time to gather my will.
That is a dead end. Alright, now we're making our way to one of the most annoying bosses in the game. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Mrs. Doedre. A lot of people struggle with this boss. So do I, to be quite frank. But fortunately for me, this build kind of just destroys her. So, unless she's bugged, like she was last league. That was something. Where she basically was doing damage before actually doing her little blinking ability. Which made her very, very, very hard to deal with. You basically had to predict what she was going to do. That wasn't fun at all. Alright. Level 51. Good on that. We're about to get to Doidre. Let's go ahead and clear this stuff out here. There's a lot of monsters. And here we go. Here we go. Let's see where she goes. Ah, she did not go where I wanted her to go at all. So that's real unfortunate for me. I also wasted a bunch of my mana. Yeah, I'm going to have to TP out of this. Get myself some mana back and come back. Because I messed up. Oh, no, not again. Alright, well, you know what? We're just going to deal damage. If we die a couple times, we die a couple times, and so be it. Oh, we actually tanked that. That's surprising. Alright, well, that was not the best showcase ever, but it worked out. So at this point, we can actually go ahead and do our lab. We're level 51. Now, one thing that you shouldn't forget, that I forget almost every run, is to use your Pantheons. I typically always use Raislotha and Brine King at this point. As I really like having the flash charges. It helps in lab, it helps in boss kills, it helps overall. And I also really like having an ability to get completely stun locked, especially with Arch Nemesis in the game, where monsters can hit you for so much damage so quickly. So I haven't looked at PoE Lab, but it's something that you should definitely be doing on a League Start scenario.
The weary traveler draws close to the Emperor.
It's very, very much worth it. The time that you save from looking at PoE Lab, from not having to go in every direction, is worth it for sure. Okay.
Give no quarter.
So here we go. That's the first phase done.
My mana is spent.
Such resilience.
No problem there.
This empire remains filled with emperors in waiting.
All right. Hopefully we actually guess right in terms of where to go. That's not it. That's for sure. Let's look at the top, I suppose. Let's see what this is. Sepulchre Passage, not the right way, but it should lead us directly to Zero as long as we go up here. As long as we go up in a straight line over here. This should be it. No way. Okay, no, that's right. I was about to say. Okay. Now normally Aspirin's Trial is going to be right here. As anytime that you go through one extra length, once you actually get to the second portion, it's always going to be directly right next to it. So we're going to make sure that we use our debuffs here. And then we're basically going to worry about killing him. Hopefully the RNG on the actual AI is not going to be too horrible. We're good to go. So I probably should have taken care of the curse thingy, because that might actually turns out to be a mistake, and we could die. I'm not saying we might die, but we could die, which I guess is actually technically the same thing. I'm not saying we will die, but we absolutely could die from that curse. Those little like mirror thingies. All right, that's gonna be that. That should give us to Atrium, and then one more way through, and we'll be basically done with our second lab, which has not been too bad. Not sure where I'm going, but I'm just gonna hope it's the right way. Let's see here first. There it is, Aspirin's Trial number 3. Alright, yeah, these portals can be quite deadly when left unattended, so I'm gonna hope that I didn't mess up by not killing them. Oh god. Oh! Ran out of mana. I was trying to frost blink and I was like, wait a minute, it's not letting me. What's happening? Ooh! Okay. Let's go ahead and never talk about that ever, okay? Let's go ahead and do that. Because that was very close to being a complete fail. Alright, so now we get Pious Path. This is very, very nice for us. This allows us to go with the Perma Righteous Fire that I was talking about earlier. Now the problem is we need the sockets for it. So we are going to go ahead and see if we can get those sockets. This is actually horrible. We're not going to use this because obviously it's a little bit unethical. Let's see. So I need red and red. So I'm going to try to get it on this. There we go. Could not have been any better. In terms of damage, it's actually pretty much the same from this to that. However, this is going to mess up with our fire resistance. So hopefully we can craft fire resistance on it. And we can. So that's good. In terms of damage, though, it's basically no different than what we had before. So now this is going to allow us to run Arrogance and Vitality. So we've had this Arrogance in here for a while. Now we're going to go Act 1 and grab... Oh, actually, I'm going to have to move this Clarity as well.
Hello.
Because we do not want that on Arrogance. So we're just going to throw this in here instead. We're going to grab Vitality. And this should be enough for Righteous Fire. We can sell that for a Chromatic Orb as well. So let's see if our math is correct or not. It should be close. As long as we are actually okay on our... As long as we're good on our fire resistance, which I think we were. Alright, so we need a blue socket to be able to run this. So we are going to throw it in. I guess we can get rid of Clarity for the time being, perhaps. And let's see. We might need the Mind Mastery in order to sustain it. Okay, no, we're good. We are okay on the self-sustaining of Righteous Fire without even getting the Mind Mastery, which is what we're actually going to go ahead and grab here. I completely forgot about it. Okay, so now that that's done, we could be on our way. Turn on Righteous Fire, nice little 40% more damage or whatever. And basically, Pious Path is just really doing the heavy lifting. Now, you don't need to do this. You could also just rather take the defenses instead. That's perfectly fine as well. But I like the damage, especially early on. Why not? Once we also get that 2.5 regen mastery, it's also going to be even better. And, you know, at this point in the game, Righteous Fire does actually a little bit of damage. Not like a ton, but it actually does some damage. But the reason why we mostly use it is just for the big buff to spell damage that it gives us when we are using it, which is like, you know, quite a bit. Now, it's not leveled, so it's not as good right now, but it will be. And also, Arrogance gives our Vitality some more effect, so that's also really good. So as our Arrogance actually levels up, we're going to be able to see the difference there. Now, I'm not sure what just happened, but it doesn't look like I found that out. Oh, there it is. That's why. I didn't find it because it's right here. Ankh of Eternity. All right. So this map is basically 3 sections. You have the Ankh section, you have the actual section of the quests, and then you have the section which leads you to the end. If you want to be perfectly efficient, you would put a portal at the end of the second section, and then you would basically make your way to the next zone, and then you would come back. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to head over there right now, and we can just come back on our steps. It's not the end of the world. However, you know, some people like to be as efficient as possible, and I do think that you should. I'm just used to doing it this way, as I've literally always done it this way for some odd reason. All right. So we're going to go ahead and grab that 2.5% regen. If we've detonated a mine recently, it's a big deal. It's a lot of regen, and it's going to help us quite a bit. Now, a lot of people are probably going to try to go Eldritch Battery with Mind Over Matter at this point in the game. If you do that, you will not be able to sustain Righteous Fire at this point. It would not let you. You really just need to be on actual mana to cast, which is fine. Which is completely fine. Alright. So that's done. Right about now. Ooh, 2-stone ring. Nice. We talk to her so that we can actually turn in our quests.
I've seen resurrection. It was nightmarish, not beautiful.
And then we basically said, as I said, we do as I said, which is go back on our step to basically get out of here. Now, I actually tend to get lost in this layout all the time, and I'm not sure why. But it's a very common thing that I get lost here. Now, chance orbs are super important. They're useful for buying maps early on in the game. That's how you're going to be able to do that. So you definitely want to be picking up all chance orbs early on.
Just in time.
So, in terms of this layout, if you want to know how to know if you're going to the right place, you essentially are looking for these dead bodies in the entrance, and that means that you're going to the right place. And I'll show what I mean by that once I find the next one. As you can see, there's a dead body here, which means this is the right way to go. Well, okay. All right. There's an actual shrine here. Let's go ahead and grab it. All right, there's a quest point here as well, so we're gonna go ahead and grab that. This is like probably the easiest quest point in the entire game, really. Dead guy means we have to go here.
Go to God, if he shall have you.
And that's that. All right, so quick level check. We're level 53 right now. We just hit it, and this is a level 58 zone. So we're pretty much fine. As I said earlier, 4 or 5 levels under the zone, and you're good to go. Now, I've been killing a decent amount of stuff, actually. Maybe slightly too much, I'm not sure. But our XP does seem pretty okay. As typically, you'll want to reach Blood Aqueducts around level 50, 56 or so. You can typically farm until basically 60, and then you'll have enough XP for the rest of the entire run, all the way up to maps. And it should set you up a little bit as well with some rares to potentially upgrade your own character or do the chaos recipe. Maybe you drop a tabula card. I don't think it's worth sitting inside of Blood Aqueducts for an extended period of time, however. I see a lot of people do that in League Start. Oh, I'm going to get my tabula. Everything's going to be okay. It's not worth it. Most good League starters nowadays are capable of starting mapping on 4 links. If you need more than a 4 link to start mapping, you're probably just playing the wrong build. All the way up until around yellow maps. Now, at yellow maps is kind of where I'd say that most builds are going to start lacking damage on 4 links, and you're going to start needing a 5 link. Now, at that point, you should have plenty of currency to go ahead and buy yourself just a cheap, 4 link, or sorry, 5 link. Any base, throw a couple essences at it. The whole ordeal should cost you 4 or 5 chaos, maybe a bit more, and you should be good with that all the way up for pretty much all the way up until red maps, which at that point you should have enough money to buy yourself a tabula or just a rare corrupted 6 link or something like that to further increase your DPS. Okay, hello, please. All right. So you'll see sometimes you might be a little scared to see you see yourself degenning at the start of the zone. That's just because it doesn't count you as not moving when you're like entering the zone. So Pious Path, your ascendancy, which is what allows you to even run Righteous Fire in the first place, is not active. So that's why you'll degen a bit, but then as soon as you regen a little, you move a little bit, and then you stop moving, Prior's Path is actually gonna activate, and you'll be good to go. Okay. So this boss is definitely one which is pretty dangerous, so we're gonna see how this goes, especially with Righteous Fire burning on our character, despite the fact that we are res capped. But here we are. That's done. Grab the Sun Orb. Oh, okay. Definitely seen Tai make that mistake once or twice. Definitely did it myself, where you basically think you picked up the item and you didn't, and then you have to rerun the entire layout. It's unfortunate. That is a pretty nasty helmet. One that I would definitely able to use for quite some time. This is also a pretty decent ring. Okay, not bad.
Goodbye.
We could swap into these. I think I will, as basically there's no reason not to. However, I believe my resistances are going to be... Okay, no, that's actually fine. 71 cold res is not the end of the world. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to head over back to Solaris Temple Waypoint. And we are going to make our way to the rest of this act. So it's actually before this, I believe. I'm missing an aura. Nope, I'm not. It was the vitality, or the clarity that I removed earlier. But as you can see, as long as you are res capped, you will be able to run Righteous Fire, no problem, on this Ascendancy. And it is a lot of damage. Now, it will kill your ES pool, but that's perfectly fine.
I must have time to gather my will.
That is fine. Alright, sometimes I wonder why my damage is a little bit low, and then I realize, oh, I don't have Righteous Fire turned on, and then I turn on Righteous Fire, and then my damage is like insane. Righteous Fire is extremely important for the leveling portion of this build. For the second portion of the game, because we don't get any damage nodes whatsoever for, as I was saying earlier, like 20 levels. Just no damage nodes at all. So that's why it's pretty important that we grab that. It's really just pathing. We're making our way towards what we absolutely want on this side of the tree, and the reason why we even go there, which is spell suppression. Now, you might be wondering, why does Pious Pass allow me to run Righteous Fire? And that is because it is basically regenerating my ES as much as my life pool. So the ES that I have is actually fighting off the degen on the life pool as well. And this is basically, you can't really see it because I have 0 ES, but it's actually accounted for. If I was to turn on EB right now, so that I would have no more mana issues, right? And I wouldn't have to use a mana flask, then I would die to Righteous Fire. Because it would be protecting my mana and my, oh, that's unfortunate. And my my mana is not protected, right? So that's why it's important. Okay, well, I shouldn't have died there. That was on me. I think that I sat inside of the like poison thingies on the ground or something. So that was a bit of a mistake. Shouldn't have made that, but it happens. Yeah, I sat on those things. Then they shot me 50% damage. Wow. That's actually insane. That is disgusting. To get shocked like that. 50% more damage taken. Yeah, that explains why I died so fast. But that's the sort of death that will definitely happen if you're not paying attention, which I wasn't. So there we have it. Okay. So we're going to grab this waypoint, and then we're basically going to make our way to the actual quest zone, the Lunaris Temple, and then we're going to come back later to do the trial and also the side quests as well. I'm not sure why I'm so slow right now, but I do feel extremely slow. Wow, that actually hurt. I guess it's because I'm just getting chilled and frozen by everything.
I must have time to gather my
It's probably what would explain this feeling of being slow. Alright. I'm not using RF right now, as you can see. And my damage is still perfectly fine. So again, if you'd rather play a little bit safer, you could totally just be like, okay, well, I'm not going to use Righteous Fire. I'm going to benefit from like having 1,000 regen or whatever. And that's going to be that. However, I would just rather have the DPS, even though sometimes it can definitely get a lot more sketchy. Especially when there's an arcane buffer pack just like that. 6 sockets, super important to pick that up on league start. Now this run is going to be ending before we even care about ever using those, so that's why I'm not worried about it. But 7 jewelers is huge initially. Not necessarily in terms of value, but in terms of being able to, you know, do some stuff with it. Okay. So this zone is also one of these zones which is really annoying sometimes, and you get lost a lot, but just do your best. I'll do my best, and we'll see if we can figure it out. Okay, that was very, very deadly. I'm actually frozen midair. My Righteous Fire is actually doing a lot of damage. Like a lot of damage. Surprising. Alright. So level 59 zone. We're level 55. We're well within where we need to be. So no problem there. Other than the fact that everything is freezing me, of course, which is super annoying. A couple Heart Nemesis monsters could definitely rock my parade right now. That's probably not the expression. Anyways. Ruin my parade? Rock my boat? I don't know. Something like that. Some arrogance. Now, arrogance does reserve your life, which again makes you squishier. So it's like a double squishier because you're running vitality, which is regen, but you really don't need it from because you're getting plenty from Pi's Path. But then you're also running something which is going to lower your total life, which is arrogance. So I don't know. It's up to you whether you want to run it or not. I personally really like it though, but everybody knows I'm a sucker for damage, so.
I must have time to gather.
I mean, it just looks so good. Okay. And there we go. That's another one down.
I am no beast of burden.
No beast of burden. That's fine. We're going to head back to that waypoint, go do our skill point quest, as well as... so we're going to do the skill point as well as the lab trial. And then we're going to go do, basically we're going to go finish the act, and then we're going to head into Act 9. Okay, that wasn't great. So at this point, the Hallowed Life Flask is actually pretty much the best flask that we can use pretty much for the rest of the game until we get the Divine Flask later on. Like until level 60. So this flask is really, really solid. I'm not worried about trying to upgrade it anymore. Oh, that was scary. Okay, let's see if we can out-regen RF and that. I think we can if we don't get hit. Alright, the upcoming zone is a very annoying one because we are EO. Now, being EO means that we don't freeze everything the same way we would otherwise if we were a crit-based build. So we don't get to just blow everything up and shatter everything. Now, sometimes we do, but not always. So that's kind of annoying from EO. And I'm talking about, of course, this zone here, the High Gardens, which has the porcupines, good old porcupines. Now, when you have Shatter, this zone is a joke. However, if you don't have Shatter, this zone is not a joke. This zone is very scary. As you can see right now. Alright, we're going to go ahead and skip that. That's a no bueno from me. Our regen is doing some pretty heavy lifting right now, despite the fact that we're running Righteous Fire, which is pretty impressive. And of course, the being res capped is also helping a lot. Cold res at this point is huge, as these monsters are mostly cold damage, and if not physical. And then for the physical portion of things, we've got Flask helping us a bit, as well as Determination, of course. Which makes it relatively okay. So as you can see, I skip most of everything, like pretty much, because I really don't want to be dealing with the stuff in the zone. I rather just kind of go fast. If anything, I'll just farm Blood Aqueducts. It's probably better for currency anyways.
I must have time to gather my will.
Must have time to gather my will. Means I'm out of mana. Alright. Oh, that was horrible for me. Jesus. Let's not talk about that. I actually, like, did not have to die there whatsoever. That's really, really, really bad. It's fine, though. Alright, there we go.
I am no beast of burden.
Go and see if there's any... Oh, my. The amount of life and resistance on these boots is quite good, but nothing else. So we're going to log out. We're going to grab all our skill points, all the rewards, and then normally I would stash a lot of this stuff, right? Because you're not going to be using most of it for a while. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and grab all our skill points, all the rewards for our hard work. Skill point here.
Why are you still standing there?
Maybe one here. No, just a ring. Yeah, there we go. Yugle. Yeah, that ring is good. Wow, that ring is absolutely insane. 58 life and some resistances is crazy good. Let's see. So this one had... Did it have life as well? 8 life. Well, it's better than no life, I suppose. It's also got some cold damage, some other goodies. So we're going to go ahead and grab it.
See you.
Now, we are almost res capped for the upcoming Catawba. So that's really good. So now that we have this and we have that, we're basically just going to keep going down until we get this life at the very bottom as well. We just don't need damage at this point, like at all. Our single target damage is great. Our clear damage is great. There's just no need for more damage. We get a lot of damage earlier on in the game so that we can just get tankiness as we keep going forward. Okay. Ooh, that's not good. All right. So we should basically insta-phase these two bosses, like for the most part. Should be pretty much instant. But they can also be quite deadly when left alone, as you see there. So, unfortunately, we'll insta-phase them. They'll insta-phase us. Now, you could actually just not die at all from this boss if you're just paying attention. Paying attention is difficult. Zerging is much easier. But yeah, getting hit by that ability was really bad. Like that one right there. It hurts a ton. There's a lot of damage. And you basically shouldn't face tank it like I did. Essentially, that's a TLDR. That is a lot of rare items. Some scepters in there too. You should definitely look for that. Maybe get some upgrades. I'd say it's totally worth it. Alright, so we're level 55. So we're going to probably not really farm this place much at all. As there's not really much of a point. Now, in a league start, like I was saying, maybe farm until like 60-ish. For me, I'm just going to get to 58. And that's going to be enough for the rest of the run. Let's go ahead and grab this Divine Flask. So we're not going to be here too long. Or, sorry, not 58, 56. Which I'm about to hit anyways, so. Ooh, that's Scary.
You there, local, come here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hmm, 56. So we're basically not going to be farming this place any longer than that, as we really don't need to. But again, League Start, I would go all the way up to 60. Unless my character feels extremely strong, then I'd probably stop at 58. Because 58 would basically put you just a couple levels under the zone for the descent and all zones going forward, so that you basically don't have to kill much. Because the reality is the XP that you get in Blood Aqueducts is just significantly better than any other zones. Other than maybe maybe the other zone after this, or not after this, after the other one essentially. The high, I can't remember the name of the zone.
Spent.
That's fine. Once we get there, I'll say it. Especially if you're going to farm Betrayal, that zone is really good. Because I believe that's when Betrayal starts to spawn, essentially. And I don't know why I can't remember the name of it, though. It's pretty easy stuff. A ton of damage. Good clear speed. Survivability is solid as long as you're not, you know, face tanking anything. But at this point in the game, if you're face tanking anything on just about any build, you would be having issues. So that's not exactly uncommon. Now again, like I said, at this point, I would highly recommend you use any other filter. I would just use a Chaos Recipe filter. And what I mean by that when I say Chaos Recipe filter is I mean a filter which is going to be live edited by a Chaos Recipe tool, such as Chaos Recipe Enhancer, which is just going to allow you to do the Chaos Recipe much easier. Now, I have a video on Chaos Recipe Enhancers, and I highly recommend you do the Chaos Recipe on the first couple days of a league, or first day of a league. It depends on exile prices, essentially, or divine prices potentially going forward. But it's a very, very good way to afford your early gear. A lot of people call it noob trap. I mean, I do it, and I don't exactly consider myself a noob. So there's that. Now, I do think that the old school of Chaos Recipe, which is doing it manually, is definitely super inefficient and probably could be called a noob trap. However, the Chaos Recipe enhancers and the tools and all that that's available to us nowadays make it so it is quite literally the opposite of a noob trap. And people who don't do it, other than, of course, group players, because if you're in a group, it's a little bit different, potentially. Because if you have a trader, you won't be needing to do the Chaos Recipe much at all, because they'll probably be funneling currency into you from just trading and crafting and all that good stuff. But for solo players, it's a very, very good way to be able to afford their early items. Alright, so I'm lost. Alright, never mind, I'm not lost. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish this encounter. Now, unfortunately, we're nowhere near the waypoint, it seems. So I did put a portal over there, so I was hoping to be able to utilize that. But I think I'm just going to have to portal out right now and go get the quest items so that we can keep going forward. Now, a lot of players will actually opt to skip the upcoming quest and to come back later. It's a viable actual choice to make. I like to do all my quests as I get there. I don't know, it's just ingrained in my system, but you don't need to. You could totally skip it and come back later when your character is stronger, as a lot of builds are going to struggle with that specific boss. However, this build doesn't struggle with that boss whatsoever, so we're going to be okay there. Grab anything, it don't matter, we're going to grab this. See, maybe it's good, doesn't matter if it's good, we don't use wands. Okay. Actually, we probably should grab the shield at that point, now that I think about it. Alright, so grab our frenzy charges, and then we're basically just going to leap slam. I don't like killing too much stuff in this place. It's a relatively deadly zone, so I think it's okay if we skip most of it. The Forbidden Vault, I believe, is not where we need to go. Immortal Syndicate encounter. The Sand Pit, there we are. You'll see that this build basically just one-shots this dude. It's pretty much instant. The last phase can be a little bit more annoying though, but yeah, it's pretty much just instant.
I must have time to gather my will.
Now the cool thing about the bad AI of this skill, right, which doesn't really care for who's the strongest boss or the strongest monster in the area, is actually kind of a good thing in some cases, like here, where we can basically, we don't have to aim Eye of Winter, right? We can just put the mines at our feet, and the skill is just going to aim anything in front of us, just on the side, behind us, it doesn't matter. It's just going to auto aim it, so it just makes it a very easy time to play this. Alright, so we're going to go head over there. Guess we could try to throw down some mines initially. I didn't even think he could spawn there. That's news to me. So I'm actually out of mana flasks right now, which is kind of a problem. However, we should get some mana flasks right now from these ads. As long as we don't die. Alright, hopefully he doesn't go into another phase. I'm not sure why he just instantly does that. It's kind of weird. It doesn't make much sense to me. Like, how am I supposed to kill you if you're just going to phase out like that every time? Anyways, I guess like this. So now that he's dead, we're going to go ahead and grab our skill point.
You killed.
And I guess we could vendor some stuff as well. We're not going to be using that helmet, even though it's quite good. But I'll keep it for now. Arcanist Brand can be used to actually use our curse. So Arcanist Brand is a blue, Sniper's Mark is a green, and then another blue. So we need basically these links. So we can actually do that right now, now that I think about it. We could basically do this, where we throw in Frost Bomb, Righteous Fire, Onslaught, and this. Then we can have our Arcanist Brand set up. Oh no, I guess we need one more red socket somewhere, or blue socket somewhere, in order to be able to do it. But we can still get Sniper's Mark, which is going to replace our Elemental Weakness. So we're going to grab that because Sniper's Mark is way stronger. Way stronger. Actually, that's not true. We can do it. We can do Arcanist Brand right now. And then we are going to go back to Act 3 and grab another couple things once more. Ooh, that is not good. We need something else on our Arrogant setup right now. Another blue socket. Righteous Fire should do it. Ah, damn, it's actually going to be connected to Elemental Focus for some odd reason. So I guess we're probably just going to have to give up the idea for the time being. But we're going to grab Sniper's Mark either way. And I guess what I'll do is I will simply use it by itself, which is not good, but that's okay. Alright, so we're going to grab some more life soon TM. So we're going to go down here and grab Herbalism. Okay. That's unfortunate that all my links were set up like that, but oh well. It happens sometimes. Your links are just not exactly what you need them to be.
I must have time to gather my will.
Alright, so there's a lot of monsters here. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill everything. Or die. No! Please! I ran out of mana. Oh, of course. It's every time I say anything, I just basically backfires. That was so many monsters. Alright, well, it happens. Probably should have grabbed that before. Yeah, I got killed by the basilisk or whatever it's called. The thing that puts the little totems on top of you, the lightning dudes, and then they just kind of melt you if you don't just get out of it. And I believe I ran out of mana right before I was able to flame dash out of that. So that's an unfortunate death. Definitely should not have happened. Definitely player mistake. So it is what it is. I wonder if I actually gained XP or lost XP. Because at this point, after killing Kitava, upon dying, you'd lose 5% XP. And this is going to happen all the way up until the time that you kill second Kitava. And that's going to change to 10% XP after reaching maps, essentially. Alright, that's that. Very, very easy dealing with this boss. Remember, single target on this build is just, it's kind of where it shines, right? So,
heretic, dabbling in foul.
Heading back to Foothills. Try to proc Onslaught real quick. Should be a pretty easy deal. With Frostbomb dealing as much damage as it does. As you can see, we're having no problem keeping that up. And here we are. Okay, so we're level 57 in a 62 zone. So again, we're basically fine on XP. Now, if you had farmed Blood Aqueducts until 60, you basically you never have to worry about a single XP for basically the rest of the game, up all the way up until maps. As your XP would be more than fine. So there's a lot of monsters here, so we're just going to go ahead and kill them. Or die again, hopefully not. One of those ghosts is definitely a scary thing to deal with. However, I did not turn on RF, which allows me to basically just run through the traps. They don't really do any damage. However, that's an arcane buffer pack, and I do not want to deal with that. So I'm going to get out of here.
An emperor must bear two blades, hope in the left hand, surety in the right.
Okay. All right. I guess you could say we're a little bit under leveled. Maybe I should have stayed in Blood Aqueducts until like 58.
I must have time to gather my will.
Yeah, it's not necessary though. Alright, I wish I had Flame Wall, a socket for my Flame Wall, but unfortunately I do not. So we're basically going to be missing one of our debuffs, one of our main debuffs for the time being. Grab this. Refinery, not going to be killing too much in here either. Mostly just going to be looking forward to getting to the boss. Now this boss is really annoying on builds, especially on melee builds. He just charges up and does some pretty nasty damage. He also shocks you. He's just not a good time. So I'm very happy that this build kills him before he gets the chance to really do any of that stuff, that nasty stuff, which makes me hate him so much. Very happy that that's a thing. All right, here we go. Oh, God. Unfortunately, I actually used all my flasks before, so that was a bit of a mistake. Okay, there we go. I mean, I actually face tank his big explosion by accident there. Probably deserved to die, but fortunately for me,
Can we be
I somehow did not, which is probably just due to determination being determination. All right, we're gonna go do our skill point quests, as we have one more to do. Now, one thing to note about using Arcanist Brand, unlike using, for example, an actual curse by yourself, is that it actually uses mana every time it triggers. So it can be a little bit mana intensive for sure. Just something to note. Fortunately, though, it casts a curse which is permanent. Sniper's Mark. Or a mark which is permanent. So because of that, we actually don't have to use it multiple times on a single target. Until we have Frost Wall linked to it. Or Flame Wall linked to it. As Flame Wall is a nice, about 10% more damage for this build. From the amount of flat that it gives. Grab this, grab that, log out, grab our skill point, and basically done with Act 9.
Not.
I don't think I had space. 10% MS, get rid of that. Grab this. And we're basically, everything is done. So we're going to go ahead and talk to him. Grab some more life officially. Nope, not yet. Almost. A little bit more life, I should say. Now, this layout is one where I would actually recommend not using Righteous Fire, because it's a very deadly place to be. All these monsters can basically make you bleed, which is gonna like stack up with your Righteous Fire in terms of degen, and it can get very scary. And it's also a really long layout, so if you do die, you'll probably feel it for a while. So my recommendation to you would be to not turn on RF. Now, I did it out of habit, but we'll see if I get punished for it or not. Yep, there we go. Okay, that was close. That was close. You know, I was talking about when I said those bleeds are nasty. Very nasty bleeds. Alright, so that's a dead end anyways. Unfortunate. I was hoping it wouldn't be. Go grab onslaught from this. Oh no! Oh, these bleeds are disgusting. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. No thanks. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that. Now in terms of XP, we're 58 in a 64 zone. So we're actually kind of low level right now. Definitely probably want to grab a level before anything else. Because of course levels matter a lot. Every single level you get some stats, you get some attributes, you get some life. Levels are technically worth currency in terms of stats. Okay, here we go. So we're going to actually kill a little bit here because I do want that level like I was saying, so that I'm not too underleveled. Fortunately, we can just left click detonate. No real danger. At least not too bad. Okay. These guys are super scary, and I believe this is also arcane buffer, which means it's going to stun you if you're in their line of sight or some shit. So not great. Alright, see how this goes.
I must have time to gather my will.
Now the biggest problem is I think I killed all the totems. Yep. So we're going to have to face tank everything. Seems like we're actually taking it like a champ. There we go.
My mana is...
Ooh, that was close. Wasn't able to flame dash out, or to frost blink out of it because I was out of mana. No. Maybe there's some good flask here. Nope. Alright, Maligaro now. Okay, that's not good. I did not mean to do that. Alright. It's pretty crazy. Like, these degens that you're seeing is literally just RF dealing damage. It's kind of crazy, considering, you know, I'm just not... It's not linked to anything. It's just there. And dealing this much damage. Yeah, Inquisitor is definitely going to be on a chopping block in the future, I believe. because it's kind of ridiculous what it can do. Alright, so we weren't able to curse him due to lack of mana. Now he's cursed. Alright, he's almost dead. He's going to do his little face thingy, where he spawns a bunch of fake hymns. And then that's going to be that. Oh, not quite. There we go. The one that I find the most annoying, Chaperone. Okay, level 58. About to be 59. Gonna go ahead and curse her. And basically, the easiest way to deal with Chaperone is kind of like to do these like tiny little steps so that she doesn't hit you with that specific attack, which hurts a lot. Kind of like this. But the thing is, those will actually explode if they do hit you. So you do need to be a little bit careful. Alright, so I'm out of flask, which means I'm just going to TP out to get my flask back. I believe I can do that. And then we're going to keep going. Turn on RF. Alright, that should be about half his health. I could also TP out again because I'm out of flasks again. I'm kind of mashing my flask like a little bit too much right now, I feel. A little bit too much. I mean, I guess the brand isn't helping. Maybe the brand was a little bit of an early swap. Those temp chains aren't helping, that's for sure. Alright, out of mana again.
Through darkness and
there we
blood,
go. That's Act 9 done. Everything done. Got the 2-stone ring. Could be good. And we're going to help sail to Uriath. Now in Uriath, we're basically going to go do the side quests.
I see you.
And after the side quest is done, let's see if this is any good. Mana, lightning res, not particularly. After the side quest is done, we're basically going to make our way to the Ravage Square, do all of that, and then once that's all done, we're basically going to make our way to the third lab, Merc Lab.
You there?
And following Merc Lab,
I am in need of your services once more.
following Merc Lab, we are going to... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Following Merc Lab, we are basically going to finish off Kitaba afterwards. Now, the reason why we do Merc Lab before is because we don't want to get hit by that 30 penalty before Lab. As it would make it harder to do. You can totally do maps without being completely res capped initially, like if you just don't find anything to res cap you. But doing lab without being res capped is not easy. So that's why I do it like that. Orb binding, that could definitely be quite good. Some more vitality levels. As we get more life, Righteous Fire is more and more expensive as it's percent based. So now it's not degenning us, but for example, let's say we had 3,000 life, maybe it would be degenning us, which is something that we need to consider. As you might basically just be okay, and all of a sudden you put like a 150 life piece of gear on, and you're like, wait, I can't sustain RF anymore. That's probably why. But by leveling vitality in the POB, it has basically a pretty
ghastly nightmare must be put
the
to
POB has like 4,000 life or something like that, a very basic amount of life for like a level 90 character, and it's able to sustain RF with no regen on gear or anything like that, simply just by, and no overcap either, like just level 75 RS. Alright, this is very deadly. I'm not sure what's in there, but I'm not having a good time. Gonna go ahead and cut it out a little bit. There we go.
I must have time to gather my will.
Alright, so by heading up here, we are going to go to the control blocks. Grab the waypoint, very important, so you don't have to run it back. And we're going to head over to one of the definitely hardest boss in the whole campaign. She is nothing to mess around with. I believe that hardcore players actually tend to skip her up until some mid-level 70s and even level 80s before they come kill her. Which is pretty crazy. Because apparently she does a lot of damage. Now in softcore this is not a problem. Okay, that was pretty deadly. Much it was on those guys. And that's that. Gonna head over to the boss, pre-trap, throw things, debuffs, blah blah blah. Wait, where am I supposed to sit? Alright, so that's insta-face for you. With Frost Shield, we can actually face tank this entire mechanic, like the whole thing, just sit still. It does basically no damage. However, we don't Frost Shield at the moment, so we're not gonna face tank the whole thing. As it wouldn't make much sense. Alright, there we go. She's phased again. Unfortunately, there's no way to skip that. She's always just going to do the phases no matter what. Doesn't matter if we had infinite damage. She has to go through these animations. Alright, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Do that. Oh, in order to get Arcane Surge, and she's dead. Alright. That's done. We're going to go ahead and talk to, I believe, Lanny for our reward, which is going to be, I mean, honestly, anything at this point. Doesn't really matter.
You return.
I'll grab her skill point.
Yes.
Vendor some stuff. Alright. Talk to Bannon.
Good luck out there.
Grab some more life. Now we're going to go back to control blocks and head over and out to the actual. Alright, so we're still not degenning. Vitality's still taking care of things, so that's really good. That's a lot of monsters. That's some heavy packs. So let's go ahead and kill some of this stuff so that we can move out safely. Alright, there we go. Arcane Buffer, we're not going to deal with that. So now we get here, we're going to do the Ossuary, which is where we get the final trial. There is also a skill, not a skill point quest, however, a skill reward quest for, a skill respec point quest, which is typically right next to the trial, so there's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to do it. That's a lot of transmutes. Good for maps. We'll need a lot of transmutes early into the mapping. I'm not sure if I'll be doing like a part 3 of this video, like early mapping and how to set up for that, but we'll see. Maybe. Alright, so here's everything that we need. The quest, the trial, the whole thing. Alright. This is the quest, and the trial should be right behind it. Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, come on. I'm trying to look cool. Trying to look cool for the YouTube video. Alright, that's done. We're going to log out. That's all done. We can talk to him, get a reward.
Fair winds and calm seas.
And then we are basically going to do everything else. Go back, do lab, come back, finish the actual campaign. That is all going to go by quite quickly. Okay. All right. Turn on RF. You do have to think about turning it on every zone. Now, it's a little bit more annoying in the campaign than it will be in the actual game. As in the actual game, it's once per map. And early in the league, it'll take a while, so it's fine. Okay, that was pretty scary. This zone is just as scary as it was in Act 5. There's just not much place to actually maneuver around, which makes it a little bit deadly. Okay, that's a lot of monsters. So we're gonna go kill them, or they kill us. Actually, you know what? I don't want to mess with proximity shield. I'm not about that life right now.
I must have time to gather my will.
Instead, I'll kill all these monsters. Grab this. All right. Desecrated chambers. If you're behind in XP, this is, just as in Act 5, one of the best places to get XP in the game. It's incredibly packed with monsters. It's also very scary, but as long as you're res capped and all that good stuff, you should be okay. This build will not actually struggle at all with clearing it, but I'm not really here for XP, so I'm just going to focus on mostly just walking around, actually just getting out of here. Alright, some poison monsters with some bleed stacks. That's always nice to see. If I was an Inquisitor, I'd probably be dead right now. I would probably be dead. Okay. Now there's a ton of XP in the room up ahead. Okay, this arch nemesis dude is actually messing me up. So if you wanted XP, like there's like 4 or 5 blue packs of monsters in this specific room right here. But of course, with arch nemesis, that stuff can get real scary. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get out of here. Good. Go ahead and frost blink for some arcane surge juice. Hit up with a debuff. Oh, that actually hit me? That is crazy. Oh, come on. Okay, well that was my fault, I suppose. That was my fault. Am I just blind, or is the range way bigger than it looks on this on this skill? No, is that +2 cleave buff or something that I'm looking at right now? I think it kind of looks like it. Alright, okay. Jokes aside, that was on me. Alright, now that's all done. And I made a fool of myself. Let's go ahead and finish up the story here. So we get another 4-link, which is great for us. It's actually pretty bad, but it's a 4-link, which we would definitely be wanting to use for mapping. So now, like I was saying, is the time where we would basically go do lab. And then once that's all done, we would finish up the story. So let's go ahead and do exactly that. I think I might have forgotten some skill points as well in other acts. Not sure though. So it's level 68 zone, so it's pretty high. We're only level 60 at this point. Again, if you had farmed blood aqueducts, that wouldn't be a problem. Also, I believe that would give my gems an extra level as well. So that's that. Yeah, I believe we're a little bit under leveled at the moment to be doing this stuff. Maybe I should just go, maybe I should just leave, go do Kitava, and then call it. Because our damage is starting to tank a tiny bit. at this point. From mostly just our levels. And also the fact that we are EO. Now, after this lab, we're basically going to get a bunch of crit, which is going to make our EO even better, our EO uptime. Because we do have frenzy power charges on this build from charge mines, which is huge for EO uptime. But it's not good enough to where you always have it. Wow, that was just scary. That was very scary. It's probably fine. On my last practice run, I was doing T4, T5, T6 maps at level 64, so pretty much on cue with around where I'm at right now. So it's very much doable. Again, probably recommend looking at PoE Lab for this. So that you don't get lost. All right. Let's just go up here, see what's up. There we go.
The weary traveler draws close to the end. An emperor is only as efficient as those he commands.
I wish I had my clarity back, because some of those deaths have been due to mana problems, which is always kind of unfortunate. But oh well, it simply is what it is.
My mana is spent.
Yeah, whenever you run out of mana, it just feels so bad because you're trying to lead slam, trying to do this, trying to do that, and you just can't do it. You're just kind of stuck there. But unfortunately for us, later on, once we get Mom EB, we never have to worry about mana ever again. Which I think, with the upcoming changes to EB, to Mom, cutting out 40% of all incoming damage, including, of course, Righteous Fire damage, I do think that there's potential there to where we can actually go Mom EB much earlier into the campaign and still be able to sustain Perma RF. But I'm not sure, so and obviously I can't test it. So I don't know. I'll probably test it on League Start. If not, then I'll just refund the points, and that's going to be that. But around the time we get the Vitality, there's a chance that we can go Mom EB after the 40% buff. So it's something that you should definitely try out as well. Because if I was Mom EB right now, things would be significantly easier for me. Not that they're horrible, but they would be even just that much better.
By gods, what ambition! Wisdom is the offspring of suffering and time.
Because I never had to worry about mana cost ever, which was honestly the whole point of this build. It was the fact that miners struggle with mana recoup. Therefore, you kind of have to run a mana flask, and mana flasks are not super good on terms of uptime for bossing necessarily, especially later on when you early on when you don't have a ton of damage. So I thought maybe this could be a solution. That's kind of how we ended up on Inquisitor, because Mom EB paired with, well, of course, the regen for Perma RF and everything else was also very appealing. But it all started with, hey, I don't have enough mana on a Saboteur, so how am I going to fix that? Okay, so hopefully we don't die, as that would make this whole run very sad. If I do die, disclaimer, just forget it ever happened, okay? Forget it ever happened. That's basically TLDR if I die.
Apparently, this is the ending you deserve.
Alright, cut it. Cut it. Go again. Alright, no. I'm just gonna keep going and act as if I didn't die, because honestly, I just can't right now. No. It's fine. You know what? I didn't die. I didn't die. I didn't die. No, there's no way. I didn't die. I didn't like sit inside of like 3 spikes, or I don't actually know what killed me, but I didn't do that. That didn't actually happen.
I shall be honored to fight by your
I'm really sad right now. That just ruins everything. But it's okay. I mean, it happens. Actually, it's happened to me quite often in my recent runs, where I kind of just die in really stupid ways in lab. I even had a deathless run the other day, like completely deathless. Everything was going super good, then I get to lab and I just die. I'm like, what? Like the one time I don't want to die because it spent like I waste so much time coming back. Not to mention the worst part about it. The worst part about that is that I always die on the last time, like the last trial, before it's over. It's okay though. We're just not. It never happened. No one died in lab. I didn't die in lab. It's just funny that I actually called it. No, that's fine. Okay. Almost done. I think I should have definitely farmed that blood aqueducts until at least 56 though. Or 58. Thinking back on it, that was probably the mistake that made Act 9 and 10 a little bit harder than they had to be. But I got lazy, so I paid the price. Alright. Now, the fortunate part is that we actually don't get really anything from lab. We get crit chance, and we don't need that. Crit chance is useless to us. However, I guess the strength and the intelligence is quite nice for early gearing. So I do recommend doing lab as early as you can. You shouldn't wait or anything like that. Just try not to die. And it's really not that hard. Just don't do what I did, essentially.
My mana is spent.
Don't do what I did and you'll be fine. Ah, okay. I can't believe I died in lab. We're out of mana right now, so we're just gonna TP back real quick and get some mana flasks. It's worth the time it takes to just make the fight feel way better. Absolutely worth it. Oh, he's actually invincible right now. There we go. So it's about done. That was actually super close to dying again. Well, the region kind of just did its job there. Let's go and portal out. I'm out of mana flasks again. Can't wait to be Mommy B, gotta say. Such a nice quality of life thing. To never have to worry about mana ever. Especially no matter how much mana you reserve. It's like, even if you have 0, it's just fine. So there we have it. There we have it. So, this run took around 2 hours and around 2 hours and 5 minutes or so, 2 hours and 6 minutes. And now the slash page is not going to be accurate as I was AFK for a few minutes after my run on stream. But yeah, 4 hours and roughly 5 minutes. Now this is including a death in lab, which means you'd have to redo your lab. But all in all, close enough to 4 hours. So this is pretty much what it looks like. Now, I might make a third video if you guys want to see it, where basically we'll go do our lab again. But other than that, I'll basically make preparation to actually getting into maps, how to set up for early mapping, and of course, this is an SSF setting, which is very different than a Trade League setting, where you can just go buy a couple items with the resistances that you need. But if you guys are interested, you can let me know. I can totally do that. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you had a little bit of a chuckle seeing me die in lab like that. Before I go, as always, I do want to say a massive thank you to my supporters. So Alex, second and third Alex, Katie, Bearded Abe, Brandon, Gustavo, Tim, Domo, Same, Desu, Miss, Jar, Loopold, Mercury, Nate, Patrick, Rascold, Bert, Rocky, Solomon, The Great Master, Thomas Mass, Maestro, Nailed, Ven, Bitizen, Nectarian, Noi, Xepion, and Larsus. Now, I'm really hoping that I don't die in lab on my league start, but jokes aside, I think that with a few more practice runs, I should be able to get this down to roughly 345 or so, and that'll be probably what I'll aim for on league start, anywhere between 345 to 4 hours, depending on, you know, server issues and stuff like that, and I'll be very, very happy with that. So anyways, hopefully this was informative. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.